everyone, welcome back to Canine of Mine. And today we're diving into something that can totally change the way we help our dogs adjust when we first bring them home. If you've just rescued a dog or you're thinking about it, you've probably heard of the 333 rule. But what does that even mean? And where did it come from? Let's break it down together. The 333 rule is a guideline that outlines the typical timeline of a rescue dog's adjustment to a new home. The basic idea is that it takes about 3 days for a dog to start to decompress, 3 weeks to start settling in, and 3 months to really feel at home. Let's unpack this a bit further. Okay, so let's start with those first 3 days. This is a crucial time for your new pup. They're in a totally new environment and it's really overwhelming for them. There's tons of new smells and new people, and they don't really understand how they got there or what's going on. Your rescue dog might be experiencing stress, uncertainty, or fear. During this period, I really recommend giving them plenty of space and letting them explore at their own pace that's comfortable for them. A lot of dogs will come into your house in a state of total shutdown. For many dogs, shelters are an overwhelming, absolutely exhausting environment. In the shelter, there are dogs barking 24/7. There are these weird strangers walking by them all the time. They're stuck in a really tiny space, and they get very limited outdoor time, exercise, or mental enrichment, if any at all. Especially for our more sensitive pups, shelter life can really do a number on them. This is also why fostering is such a huge gift and service to give your local animal shelter. Putting sensitive pups in homes and getting them out of that stressful shelter environment can quite literally save a dog's life, as it allows them to stay calmer, be themselves, and put their best paw forward when meeting new potential adopters. Anyway, when your rescue dog first comes home, they're still going to be reeling from the stress at the shelter. Some rescue dogs will just pass out and sleep for days when they first come to your house because they've gotten so little sleep in the shelter. This might be the first good sleep they've gotten in months. Some dogs will be so freaked out and terrified of this yet another huge environment shift that they'll really be on edge for a while. Environment changes are really hard on dogs, and your dog has already had to leave the only home they've ever known, transition to the chaotic shelter life, and now are transitioning again to your home, all without any understanding of why this is happening to them. Your dog might hide, bark really frequently, or absolutely lose it when you try to leave the house. These are all really normal behaviors that are typical for this environment shift. Remember, your dog's behavior in these early days really aren't a reflection of your dog's true personality. The dog may actually be pretty relaxed when they're in an environment that they've become accustomed to. The initial transition to this new environment may be so stressful for the dog that it could cause them to become more anxious and agitated than usual, which could result in more barking, hiding, or being short and easily annoyed by resident dogs that they haven't really gotten to know yet. During this time, you really want to avoid leaving your dog home alone. They need to know you're going to be there for them and not abandon them. At the same time, it's important to give the dog plenty of space and help them feel secure. This might look like keeping the dog in a gated section of the house away from small children and away from other resident pets, so they won't be accosted and can just relax. It will mean feeding your dog in a separate area of the house or in a crate, so they won't feel threatened and can eat in peace. It also means creating a super safe, no trespassing zone for them where they can retreat to when they're feeling overwhelmed and need a break, without any interruption. During this time, as a general rule, you'll want to avoid approaching the dog for pets, cuddles, or hugs. In fact, you won't even want to touch them unless they approach you first. You can try calling them over and encouraging them to come over to you and get some love, but all interactions with you should be on the dog's terms. It's really important to show your dog that you're going to respect their autonomy so that they can trust you and feel safe with you. And yes, this means no hugs, no kissing and cuddling, just because you want to snuggle with your new pup. A scared dog doesn't need cuddling and affection. They need to feel safe, and for some dogs that is going to mean giving them a lot of space and privacy. Don't worry though, for many of these more sensitive pups, once you've given them time and they learn that they can trust you, they'll warm up and become absolutely obsessed with you. Unfortunately, a lot of people who bring home a new dog are just so excited about their new pup that they end up putting their dog in some really challenging situations that the dog is just not ready for yet, like having guests over or taking them to a dog park. Your dog isn't ready for any of that. Not even close. They need to just be chilling in the house with you and your direct family. Nobody else. They need to get to know you, not your kids' friends or your aunts and uncles. If you've just brought home a new dog or you're about to, please consider checking out my free, yes, 100% free dog training course called Starting Off on the Right Paw. It's all about preparing for and bringing home your new dog in a way that will set them up for success and avoid some really common pitfalls. So many people, without even realizing it, set their dogs up for failure by making things even more stressful and difficult for these new shelter dogs who are already struggling. In this course, we'll show you exactly what to do at various milestones to ensure that you and your dog are getting off to a great start together and set you up for success in a lifetime of companionship. Okay, so we've covered the first few days. Now let's move on to the next 3 weeks. This is when your pup will start to come out of their shell a bit and start to learn the rules of the house and your routine. They might start to become more comfortable with their surroundings and start bonding with you, which is super exciting. During this time, you should focus on creating a positive environment and setting up a routine for your dog. Create a set schedule for feeding, walks, and playtime. Make sure you've decided beforehand. Will the dog be allowed on the bed? Where will he sleep? Who will be walking and feeding him every day, and at what time? All this will help your pup feel more secure because they'll know what to expect. If you're getting something out of this video, please make sure to give this video a big ol' like and subscribe to Canine of Mine on YouTube. It does so much to help Remy and I keep making videos like this one. So thank you. All right, back to the video. Finally, we have the last 3 months. This is when your dog will really start figuring out that they're not going anywhere. Now that they've fully decompressed, they should start to feel comfortable enough to let their true colors show. And you'll notice their real personality shining through. They might start to understand cues, develop routines, and show some trust in you. You'll likely start to see now that playful side emerge that you've been waiting for. Think of these 3 months as a critical time for building a strong foundation for your relationship. Usually after this decompression period, you'll see a much calmer, happier, more relaxed dog. But in some cases, it can go the other way too. When I first brought my rescue dog Remy home, he seemed perfect. He never barked and was so easy and chill. Basically, all he did was sleep. Of course, now I realize that's because Remy was totally shut down. Knowing what a sensitive guy he is, it makes me sad to think about how overwhelming and terrible shelter life must have been for him. The shelter was so stressful for him that he came to me really shut down, just in total survival mode. And it was only after 3 months, right in line with that 3-3-3 rule, that his true personality started to show. And it wasn't exactly a personality I loved, because the real Remy included nuisance barking, reactivity, stranger danger, and a ton of nipping and biting at me and my clothes. To say he wasn't the dog I expected would be a huge understatement. We got through it eventually, but boy was it rough at first. So yeah, that can happen too. Your dog's decompression might result in a more challenging dog than you initially saw at the shelter. But in most cases, you're going to see a much happier and calmer dog after that 3 months of decompression. That's definitely more the norm. Unfortunately, the 3-3-3 rule does mean that, yeah, you might not actually know what kind of dog you have on your hands until 3 months in, which can definitely feel a bit scary. The honest truth is, when it comes to rescuing, you have to accept there's a chance that the dog you bring home might not ultimately be a good fit for your household. That's just the reality of the situation. Every relationship dynamic is different, and that's true for us and our dogs too. The dynamic between every family, environment, and dog is different. And in some cases, it's just not going to be a good match. I know how painful it is to bring a dog back to the shelter. I've had to bring back to the shelter a foster dog that I thought I might eventually adopt, and it was really, really hard. But you need to be realistic about what you can and can't handle. Because even though it's so hard to bring a dog back to the shelter, it's important to remember that there might be some other home out there that's going to be a much better fit for this dog. And there's some other dogs still in the shelter that could be a really perfect fit for your home. I made things work with Remy, but it took everything I had. And I always say that if I had a normal full-time job, kids, or any dependents, or people who really needed my time and attention, I could never have kept Remy in my house. And the amount of devotion and dedication I put into helping him isn't something I would ask or expect of anyone else. If you don't feel equipped to help a dog that is struggling in your home, it's going to be a bad arrangement. arrangement for everyone. But it is important to remember that if you see a dog struggling in your house early on, it could be that they still need some decompression time. It is a tough call to make, but generally just try to look and see week by week or month by month, is the behavior getting worse or better? That can kind of be a good indicator of what you're going to end up working with long term. If you do need to bring a dog back to the shelter and want to feel a little better about it, just make sure to provide ample notes and information about how the dog did in your home. Many dogs first come to the shelter with no documentation or information about them whatsoever, which makes it really hard to place them in a home that you know will be a good fit. So any insight into how they fare with kids, cats, other dogs, etc. will be a huge help to making sure that their next home is a better fit for them. So as far as where the 3-3-3 rule came from, it's rooted in the experiences of shelter workers and dog trainers. They noticed a pattern in how dogs adjust after being adopted or rescued and how they transition to their new home. Essentially, it's a guide reflecting the emotional journey that many dogs go through when they enter a new home. So the next time you welcome a rescue dog into your home, remember the 3-3-3 rule. Understanding this timeline can help reduce some of that frustration and confusion if things don't really feel normal with your dog right away. Patience and compassion are really key during this transition phase. All right, guys, please drop your questions or comments below. Have you ever experienced the 3-3-3 rule with your rescue dog? What happened? How did it go? I would love to hear your stories. And please don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. All right, thanks guys. Have a great day.